Good, beautiful morning, everyone. It is another glorious day. Behind me is a micro factory that I made out of, yes, an old reefer trailer. There's a few reasons we made it out of this reefer trailer. Is we saved anywhere from $150,000 to $175,000 building the micro factory into this reefer trailer. To build a building and get it all set up and ready for production, just to make one thing, would be very expensive. It would be every bit of 150 to 200. Then you have a designated building that can't be moved and it's only made for one purpose. Then it's another taxable building. There are no taxes on these. And all the way around, you can't really justify all of the hubbub that you would have to do. When we built this, we kept in mind that perfection is the thief of good. I think that's how that saying goes. That's a motto that I've adopted over the last few years because I have a lot to do. And if you try to make it perfect, it takes forever. And if you can make it good, then that's good enough. So that's what we kept in mind when we built this. We kept it super simple, and we got this done for $15,000 to $17,000, give or take a few. And that is way better than the $150,000 to $200,000. So without further ado, let's take a look at what we've done. We'll take a look at the outside. We'll go into the inside. We'll talk about how the flow of production works, and then we'll actually produce an auger, and you'll get to see the micro factory in action. So looking at the outside here, we kept it super simple. We bought some stairs that are made to walk up and in two semi-trailers. They were like $400 a set. We've got two of them out here. This trailer came with super singles. This thing's gonna do a lot of sitting, so we painted the wheels, keep the rubber from drying out. And then over here, we have a sliding door. This is where we bring in all of the raw components, and then the produced machinery comes out that end. We cut a hole in the wall, and then we put a 2x4 all the way around it to make it larger than the hole, and then we wrapped it with this galvanized, sealed it up. Works pretty good. We're able to load the factory with components at this end. When it came to leveling it, we went with the simple good enough option, which is lumber stacked up. And that got it leveled within about 1/8 of an inch of the bubble, and that's good enough. We've got our welding fume discharge fan over there and our paint fume discharge over there. When it came to hooking it up to power, we just jumped in with some SO cable, painted the cable to keep it from dry rotting, and then these vents here are the heat and AC system. We've got two of those in there. Let's go inside so you can see the inside. Let's take a look at the inside now. So to get in, we just open it up like you would any semi-trailer. Pull that over to about there. We just walk up the stairs. Let's go inside and take a look. Stairs are a little rickety, but they support my 260-pound bulk just fine. Here it is in all of its glory. We're gonna walk in here and turn on the lights so you guys can see everything. Again, we kept in mind that perfection is the thief of good. Let's turn on the lights. Voila, we've got everything lit up. Here is the factory. Again, this is that sliding door. So that's where we load in all of the raw components, and then the finished units go out this door. Let's start at this end, talk about how the production line works. So the first thing we build is the pallet, because we want to handle the components after they're finished as little as possible. So we have to build the shipping pallet so that we have a place to put them when they're finished. So we start by building the shipping pallet here on this table here. We've got all of our shipping tools and packaging tools, all of our shipping labels, warning labels, fragile labels, and then of course we have our barcodes. That goes into the ancillary components box, and then that QR code takes them right to the assembly video. We've got our checklist, because in the 50 of these units that I've sent out, I've forgotten a few things. These are the commonly forgotten things. And we have the shipping weight and dimensions of a single Javelin unit. So I won't have to run over to the scale every time. These dimensions and this weight will be the same across the board. Over here, we have our small ancillary components box. And again, we kept in mind that perfection is the thief of good. So if you can make it simple, even though it's not fancy, it'll work fine and it'll be good enough. This is a box dispenser that I came up with. We just got 2 shelf brackets folded over, and then you pick them up and pull them down. So that works pretty good. And that flexible piece of steel allows that to come up and off of there, but it also holds them from falling over when the wind comes in here. These cardboard sheets are what we use to cover up the shipping pallet when it's all finished. Here is the paint station. So we don't need a large paint station. We just need some ventilation and a table to paint the components on. And then, again, perfection is the thief of good. We went with the simplest, quickest solution, and we just made it nice. It can be a little crude. It just needs to look nice. And the modularity of just plugging everything in is sweet, because it makes it super simple. If I did this technically the right way, I would have had to put a box here, run the wires to it, hook up the light switch, make sure everything is set up and ready to go. I just bought this cord with outlets every 4 feet off of Amazon. And then to power the fan, we bought this little switch module that plugs in. And that's a light switch, didn't have to wire that. And then we just have the cord spliced into the fan there. We've got our consumables cabinet here and our AC and heat unit. So we just open that up and we have the consumables that we use in here for painting and packaging, and we've got our paper towels in there as well. These air cons are pretty cool. They're both 10,000 BTU units. We've got 2 of them. We needed an extra one to just keep this place nice and cool. And where you typically do all of your work, you've got a nice tornado of cold air that hits you while you're working here on the primary workbench. Another thing that's a hidden advantage to making this into a reefer trailer, the walls are already insulated, and it really doesn't take much to heat and cool this because they're made to keep food frozen while it's on the road. So these are super efficient when it comes to being insulated. And because you didn't build an entire building, you don't have to insulate it and wire it and then waste a bunch of energy cooling a large building. This is a very small space, so it doesn't take a lot. Here we have the primary workbench, and it has these things that pull out to extend it because what we're working on is very long. We'll get to that in a minute. So each end of the primary workbench slides out like that, and it is on wheels so that we can change the configuration if we need to. We have our count here, so we are actually at 49. I haven't changed it yet. And we have some dimensions that I usually have to open the folder and look up because I can't quite remember all of them. So that speeds me up, just having a chart right there. And then again, keeping it simple, crude but effective, we have a switch here for the lights, as you saw earlier, and a switch there for the welding fume extraction fan. Everything is ran on extension cords. I'm going to be the only one working in here, so we don't have to have it up to a code. You know, it's safe, of course, but it's not up to code. That doesn't matter when it comes to just working by yourself on your own property. We have our workbench, and we have all of the hardware used in the production. We have our bandsaw that's used to cut the bearing housings. We have our hole punch that's used to punch the holes in the plate for the speed controller. And I've learned something. Having all of your tools in a toolbox is cool and all, but then you have to fish through the drawers, and opening drawers and looking for the tool costs you a few seconds here and there. We wanted to keep this as efficient as possible. So we have all of our tools hung up. So if you need a pair of pliers, you look over, grab the pliers. There's no opening a drawer. If you need a wrench, they're all right there. Can't beat that. Here on this back third of the semi-trailer, we have all of our ancillary components. And then over here we have our welder. It's a Vulcan OmniPro 220 from Harbor Freight. Does the job just fine. We've got 2 bottles that can be exchanged. If one of them gets empty, there's no downtime. And then here in this back third is the ancillary components. So we have all of our bearing housings, clamps, pipe caps, decals, cords, scrap steel that's used in production. We have all of the belts that we ship out with these. We have all of our motors. We designed this micro factory to hold enough components to make 10 augers. So we have all of our motors lined up here, all of our wheels, all of the auger screws, the piping, the discharge spouts, and then these are the pipes that we use for the frames. We kept it simple. We just built this rack out of 2x6s. We put a bolt in them. We glued this here, and they're super sturdy. I could use these as a ladder if I needed to. So they work really well. And we've got 4 tubes here. We're waiting on some more. Now these here are the winch and trolley system. So I built these winches. I could have bought a name brand like Warren, and they have a special designated battery, and they're very expensive. And then I would have a special battery with a special charger, and it's not as prominent as a drill battery. So what I did was I bought this 12-volt converter off of Amazon that uses my Ryobi drill batteries. And then I bought an ATV winch, hooked it up, and it works perfectly for picking up the components and making it so that I don't need a second person to lift one of these tubes up and put it onto the bandsaw. And then of course, when we do a full assembly, like let's say I'm assembling one for pickup, I'm not shipping it out, I can use this winch right here to get the thing that I'm producing all the way to the door. You can see we have a trolley track. So it came out pretty nice. We could have been fancy and built a building and had the prestige and pride of building a building and all of this other stuff. Or we could simplify it, keep the cost low, and that means we can generate machinery for a low cost and save our customers money, not have to raise our prices to justify paying off this $200,000 building and then paying the taxes on said building. 6 ways to Sunday, any way you slice it. This was the most efficient, cost-effective space that we could get. And after the initial upfront cost, aside from a little maintenance here and there, we aren't going to keep owing money on taxes for it or any other overhead that you would have in a building. So without further ado, let's start production. First thing we're going to do is build a shipping pallet so that we have a place to put all of the finished components on and we don't have to keep handling it. Now we can load this up with pallets. Just push it in a little bit more. There we go. Head up the stairs here. Pick up my soda pop. Close this door up. It's sweltering hot outside, but nice and cool in here. Let's build our shipping pallet. Okay, shipping pallet consists of one 8-foot 2x6 and 2 12-foot 2x6s. In a minute we'll get to those. Then just take our 12-foot 2x, and we just take our 12-foot 2x6. Go. And we hang back up our tools. That one goes there. And then this one goes here. And that shipping pallet is done. Now we move on to the fabricating. And now, because we're going to start welding on galvanized and it splatters, put on my apron, got all adjusted, make it comfy. We've already got our pocket preloaded with our markers. Then we need to get our tape measure, because this is the fabrication side of the factory tape measure, our gloves. Now we are ready to start welding. So far in the production we're at 20 minutes. First thing we got to do is measure this and mark it at 7.5. And we grab our wireless winch remote here, power it on, turn on the battery, and then with that powered on, we can use the winch to pick up a tube and transfer it to the bandsaw for cutting. Okay, now that we got a little tension on the cable, come down to this end. Move our sawhorse over to here. I hold it with this hand, work the remote with the finger there. Work the remote. Now, use that winch over there. Bring it off the rack. Pull it over with the fish. Get it in line for the bandsaw. Now we've got our wind bandsaw slicing tube, doing a great job. That's cut. Put it on here gently so that we don't scratch it up too bad. We profile it in with the grinder. And now that we have our decal in place, we write in the model. It's a Model C, and we hit it with the date, 8/26, serial number 050. Perfection. And we take it and we put it on the shipping pallet. And now, so we don't have a whole bunch of unnecessary footage, I'm just going to show you the components before they're done and then after they're done. This is the head of the auger. We've got to do some drilling, install a bearing, and just tweak a few things here and there because our production guys are still getting the hang of making these. And here we have it. We've got the bearing installed. Last thing we need to do is zip tie the lock collar to the bearing so they know where it goes. Voila. And now that we have the tubes cut, we need to put together an ancillary components box. So we just grab this up off of our dispenser. We've got one, the rest of them are gonna stay there. Let's put this together. And we got that all taped up. Now we're ready to fill it with the small ancillary components. Let's head down here, grab them off the rack. Now we're going to assemble these smaller ancillary components. Do up the safety cage, takes one of those, two of these, and one of these. Have it. Just put another zip tie through there. Ready to go to the ancillary components box. Love it. Grab one of these. Yep. And one of these. One of these. And one of these. And then we have our bag of hardware. So that's all of the bolts that it takes to assemble this auger. Let's take that to the ancillary components box. And that is it for the ancillary components. So now we finish it out with this QR code and we close the box up. Okay, we got our auger screw all dressed up, cut to the right size, and refined and worked over and cleaned up a little bit. So now it's time to take that to the shipping pallet. And there we have it, a nice bundle of auger screw. Okay, after a short lunch break, we are ready to go back to work. Took roughly 45 minutes. So let's power on our welder. Hello, welder. Let's get to welding. One thing I forgot to mention is that I built this welding table to be up to here on me, because a standard welding table is about down here, and that means that if it was the standard height, I would have to weld like this. And if you weld for a few hours with your back bent into the shape of a banana, it's hard to stand up straight and your back hurts for weeks after that. Ask me how I know. So we made this custom height welding table, and I can weld standing straight up without having to bend down. And here we have it, 2 axle caps. We've got our little fan up there running, sucking away the fumes. Now we finish building the axle and the pivot system. Turn our bandsaw on, lower it down there slowly and let it cut. We did modify this and hang a 1 pound weight here just to make it cut a little faster. There we go. And now we'll set that to make the second cut. Let it do its thing. Now we start welding on the axle. So we just line that up there. And we come in with a tack weld. Okay, now we come over here, grab our square, and we make sure that we are within acceptable parameters, and we are. Let's weld it out. Now it's time to start welding on the pivots. We use these big heavy-duty hinges. Just open them up, weld them on. And now that this is finished cutting, that'll work. Yep, within acceptable parameters. We line those up. Back weld. Y'all can butcher me in the comments if you want. One thing to keep in mind, this is galvanized, and galvanized always welds a little crappy. So while they might not be the most beautiful welds, it's gonna hold. Now that we have everything tacked, we can start welding this thing out. I am able to lay a decent stack of dimes, but the galvanized makes that hard. Had to grind down a lot of splatter. Outside of that though, it's gonna hold, it's gonna work. Caps on. That ain't going anywhere. Let's put the last one on here. That ain't going anywhere either. Hang that right back up where we got it. Now we need 4 of these. Oop, we got too small of one in there. Here we go. And then we need 2 of these. Ba-doop, ba-doop. Alley-oop. Done. Same goes over here. And now we grab our small crescent and just tighten them on a little bit so they don't come off in shipment. There we go. This is ready for degreasing and then paint. Take some mineral spirits. This will break down any grease left on there. Hit all of the areas that we're going to paint. Look at all of the oil we removed. Yucky, yucky. Turn our fan on. Let's get to it. And here it is, it's all painted up, looking pretty decent. That'll be dry in 15 minutes. And then we can load it onto the crate. We are going to start producing the component called the winch beam. This is the part of the auger frame that holds the winch, hence the name. Come over here to our wall, take this jig, bing bada boom. Come over here, get two of our clamps. Into the trash it goes. Same thing. Okay. So now we load our jig. Make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. Get this side tacked. Tack-a-rooski. Back to the wall. There we go. Let's weld her out. Perfection. Move this over here. Now that we're welding galvanized, there we go. I can lay down some decent welds. I am going to stop the video so you guys can just see the finished product and you're not bored with the monotony. And here is a finished winch beam. We've got our winch mounts here put on. We've got our heavy duty hinge here, and we welded the nut as we do on all of them so that it never comes loose. This thing is ready to be degreased and painted. That's ready to go into the crate. Just put that on there. Oh yeah, looks good. And we've got our tag here to show them that this is the right side up. Let's put this baby in the crate. Looks good to me. And the winch beam is painted and drying. So let's proceed with the slide beam. This is the part that raises and lowers the auger. I am going to do a fun transition now. And here is what we call the slide beam. So this is all done. It's been degreased. This is the part that slides up and down the tube and changes the height. Like how it's come out. Looks good. Let's get it over there for paint. Once it's dry, we can add it to the crate. Okay, we've got the slide beam all painted. It's looking sharp. Now we're going to wire up the VFD and the motor. Let's clean up our workstation and get ready to do some electrical work. Okay. One of these, and one of these. And we take our side cutters. We need 9 feet of cord 3, 6, and 9. There we go. Perfection. And here we go, another cool transition. Okay. And now we have the drive all put together and everything oriented the right way. Let's hit the on switch. Motor will take right off. And what makes our auger very special is because people can use it to feed machinery. It doesn't just run at one speed. You can slow it down to just about any speed that you want. And then you can tailor the feed rate into your machine. There's no other company that makes something like this. We're running at 50%. And then of course that's 100%. The cover is over there. And our auger has a reverse feature, which makes it so easy to clean the auger tube out, and it ensures that there is no contamination from different varieties or different types of seed left in the tube. You can run it in reverse and all of the seed will come out the intake. This is what makes the Javelin auger special right here. Now I'm going to do another transition. Okay, that looks a lot better. Now we do a test. Working good. I like it. And there we go. Now, let's load everything onto the pallet and finish up the order. And here we have it. It is all produced, put together, made up, and it is ready to ship out. We have all of our components, our wheels, small components, and then where it's the safest, our sensitive electronic drive and motor. Got our auger screw, tubing, and our frame here. Let's get everything secured to the pallet, cover it up, and then we'll be done. And now that we have it all covered, everything's secured to the pallet, we come in with our shipping labels. And now we text the dimensions over to my brother and he can schedule it for shipment Monday. And we can come over here to our timer. We're at about 400 minutes. So that is not my best time. My best time is 5.5 hours, but there was a lot of interruptions setting up the camera for you guys and whatnot. So as time goes on and I get more proficient, that time is gonna go down. All in all, this micro factory is a huge success for me because it used to take about 10 to 12 hours per unit, and now with everything in a central location, I am making them a lot quicker than I was. This is where I'm going to end the video. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed this little tour. I don't know how long this video ended up being, but if you made it this far, thanks for getting here. Hit that like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.